Welcome to the third episode of Don't Get Fooled Again. I'm your host, Anthony Bynum, and the name of our production company is the Glen Burnie Players. In today's episode, we are honored with two great guest teams. First, Mr. and Mrs. Paul and Cynthia Denton of Anne Arundel County share some of their memories about themselves and their great family. Then, longtime Anne Arundel County resident, Mr. Douglas Anderson, tells us of his memories. We're also treated with some of his fine banjo playing with accompaniment. We feature segments regarding the annual Strawberry Festival. We salute our local street musicians. And we also celebrate consumerism, Anne Arundel County style. So please, relax, grab some refreshments, and enjoy. Thank you.
Yes, good evening, everyone. This is Anthony Bynum for Don't Get Fooled Again. We're about to start a fantastic conversation with a couple of longtime Anne Arundel County residents. Mr. and Mrs. Paul and Cynthia Denton have agreed to have a nice little conversation with us. So we're going to go ahead and bring them in. Hi, Mr. and Mrs. Denton. How you guys doing?
We're fine.
Good evening.
Good, good. Well, I just introduced you as Mr. and Mrs. Paul and Cynthia Denton to our audience here for Don't Get Fooled Again. And I want to thank you for taking a few minutes to talk to me here. We know you guys have had a pretty busy day, but let's go ahead and get things going. Mrs. Denton, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Mrs. Denton, you first.
Okay. I was born in Baltimore City and moved out to Anne Arundel County to Odyton when I was 15. Went to school at Arundel High School. In 1962, I married Paul, who was from Odyton. We've been married, it'll be 60 years next week.
Congratulations on that.
And we've lived in Anne Arundel County most of that time. Raised 4 children, went to Anne Arundel County schools, never had a problem. We like it here because there's enough here now that we're seniors. There's enough here to keep us busy.
Sure.
Interacting with other seniors. I had 8 brothers and sisters. Most of them lived in Anne Arundel County.
Wow.
That's basically where I'm at. Right now we're living with my daughter bought a home in Pasadena. And we turned the basement into an apartment for me and my husband to live out the rest of our years. And we're enjoying it very much. You know, time is ours.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, Mr. Denton, I got a little bit of the story about you, but is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I know. Actually, I was born in New York. I was 9 months old when we moved to Baltimore at that time. My father worked for the B&O Railroad, and they moved me from New York to there. And from there, my father used to ride the train from Baltimore to Washington, and somebody told him about property in Odyton. That's how we got there. That was in 1945. We moved there in 1945. All my family wasn't there. Some of them were old enough to move away. Right? I'm a family of 15. I got 8 sisters and 5 brothers. So, and my father was an old country boy. He got lumber from Fort Meade, and he built their old little house there and had scrap lumber. When we first moved there, the road we lived on was dirt, and that was Patuxent Road. And we lived on Walthammer Road, which is a road that Patuxent Road goes into. And then I guess I went to school in Odyton at elementary school and Anne Arundel County High School. Although I didn't finish high school, me and my wife took our GED together and got her. So the county gave us our education through the GED. And I guess that's about all my critical stuff, you know. All my family, not really poor, but we wasn't one of the richest people in the county either. But I remember some people used to come around the house at Christmas time and give us kids candy and stuff, like from the health center and stuff like that.
That is Absolutely amazing. A family. Did you say 15? Did I hear you correctly when you said 15? Wow. And Mrs. Denton, did you say it was 8 and your family?
With me, there was 9 of us.
9. Wow.
Back then.
Where did you fall in, Mrs. Denton, for for your siblings? Where did you fall in?
Just about in the middle. I had one older sister, 4 older brothers. Then I had 2 younger sisters and 1 younger brother. Now there's only 4 of us left, and 1 brother left. I had 5 altogether, 1 left.
I see. I see. Well, you sound like both of you have also raised a large family. Did you say you raised 4 children now?
And we have 4 children, 1 boy and 3 girls. We have 14 grandchildren and 6 great-grandchildren.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Tell me a little bit about, since you have been around so many brothers and sisters and relatives, grandkids and great-grandchildren, tell me a little bit about what family means to you.
Family means everything to both of us. First of all, we believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, and we brought our kids up in that way. And family is what God protects. So we think family is everything to us. And
yeah.
What else can I say?
It's just really even be around them.
Yeah.
That's a love and a bond that is so secure and strong.
We are blessed that we have good kids, good grandkids. Is rarely a problem in our family. Really.
Right.
Are there any traditions that started with your parents that you still see in your families?
The traditions are there. They've changed some, but the basis of those traditions are still there. Like Christmas, we have certain things we do at Christmas time. My kids may do them a little bit different, but not that much different. Like we used to put a train set in a garden under our tree. They don't do that. They still put the tree up the same time, and getting together for dinner. It's just like most families, we like to get together for dinner.
One tradition we started when we first got married was the kids never seen anything Christmas till Christmas morning. We put everything together Christmas Eve. We tree, the goodies, the draft and everything. She did it all.
After they went to bed, we would do everything then. Wasn't easy.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
9 kids, that's what he did. He put a garden under the tree and everything. All night long they worked. And Christmas morning we'd come running down them steps, and my father would light up like a Christmas tree. He was so proud. So we like that feeling. We did that with our children.
Sure.
Theirs. So, yeah.
Recently I've been going to meetings, learning more about the county, Anne Arundel County. And one thing I found out recently is that the population of Anne Arundel County now is over 600,000 people. So it probably wasn't anywhere near that number many, many years ago when things were just starting for you. How do you look at the growth of the county? Is it the same general place that it was that you remember from all those years ago, or has it just changed completely?
It changed completely. For me, at least, I don't know about her.
But, it's changed. It's changed. But it used to be the little country store and the little, they had one store in Odyton. That's the only one. And you have to go to Glen Burnie for anything else. All the dirt roads are now paved, and they have housing on them.
The first thing went to that old tire and gravel. And I remember as a kid getting tire between my toes and everything going on the road. Tar, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Now all the back roads are gone, and they're all filled with houses now.
Sure. Tell me about some of your current interests, some things you like doing now.
Well, I spent most of COVID sewing masks and caps and things for the hospitals for nurses and all. So I've made over 1,000 items for the, so it was a lot of sitting. Before that, we go to the senior centers and I taught line dancing and Paul played the music, which we still do now that they've opened back up. Anne Arundel County has a great system for elderly if they're interested, to keep them busy and active and fun. And if you just go there and talk to other seniors that get out of the house, they have, Anne Arundel County has 7 different centers and they're all open every day. They serve hot lunches every day. They have entertainment come in every day. They offer some Anne Arundel County Community College courses there. And you pay for them, but the rest of the courses, and like when I teach line dancing, it's free. It don't cost you anything. They have a computer room. They have exercise room. They have pool tables. They have ping pong tables. Each center has their own different type of entertainment. It depends how much room they have. We mostly go to Brooklyn Park because I'm on the board there, and I also teach line dancing there. But we also go to Pasadena. We go to Pascal. We've been to O'Malley. We've been to Annapolis.
Edgewood.
And they have people come in to entertain you at least once a week. A singer, some kind of a singer singing the 50s, or a guitar player, or a group, so all kinds of entertainment. So if people are interested, they really should call the Department of Aging, find out about the senior centers and what they have to offer, because you shouldn't sit at home by yourself. Look, he's 81, I'm 79. We do not sit at home 3 days a week centers, because they're giving us entertainment and they're giving us other friends and people that we can relate to our age, and it's fun. And you'd be surprised how many seniors get up and dance. It's entertaining.
I don't think that I would be surprised at all. I want to thank both of you. We're coming up on a time where we need to close out, but thank you for inviting us into your home. It's beautiful to have the opportunity to speak to such fine people. I know we've known each other for a long time, and you guys have always been very fair and very kind to me and my family. So I want to thank you for that. Other than that, I just want you to try to enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you, Tony. It's been entertaining. Also, we enjoyed talking with you.
Welcome back, Anne Arundel County. For our next segment, we have an interview scheduled with a longtime Anne Arundel County resident. The gentleman's name is Mr. Douglas Anderson. He's in our waiting room. I'm going to bring him in now. Mr. Anderson, good morning, sir. How are you?
Fine. How are you doing today?
Hey, Mr. Anderson, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day to talk to us here on Don't Get Fooled Again. Again, sir, thank you so much.
All right, my pleasure.
Mr. Anderson, just a couple of formalities. How would you like to be referred to, sir?
Doug is fine. Eugene. Yeah.
Well, Doug, if you could, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I was born in Howard County, Maryland, and came up through the school system there and went to Howard County Senior High School. Had a real good time with the high school life. My friends and I were coming to Anne Arundel County on the weekends. One of our guys had a shore house on Cypress Creek, and we came down on the weekends, fished and crabbed off his dock and stuff. So we enjoyed that. But in high school, one story I do want to tell. You asked about being interested in playing banjo. Back in those days, 63 and 1964, there was a social thing going on. And the social thing was, here are the Beatles, here's the Kingston Trio, here's James Brown, and all kinds of things coming together. And you decide, what are you going to be? Who are you going to follow? What's your clothing style going to be? So I picked the Kingston Trio and the folk music and all that, because it was growing leaps and bounds. And were trying to get interested in girls, and girls were going to the folk music parties. So we kind of did that. I decided to differentiate myself and buy a banjo. So,
Doug, if we could, tell me a little bit about where that sound came from, the Kingston Trio, others like them. Where were those guys, where were those guys originating from?
Well, most of them were playing in colleges and stuff. Most of it came out of New York City, actually, Greenwich Village, the folk music, and the West Coast. Hungry Eye restaurant in California somewhere was playing the Kingston Trio, and the colleges were just eating that stuff up. Very easy music for them to play. Soon there was not just one group, the Kingston Trio, but there was 50 groups, and they had their own TV shows, and they had their own hootenannies and things. So right around 62 all the way up through 65, 66 is when it really kicked in. And then you had Peter, Paul, and Mary, all of them just coming out of the woods, and they were making tons of money. College auditoriums were packed with, all kinds of interesting shows and stuff. Guys like Pete Seeger were coming on too. So one of the things that we, on a smaller scale and in your local, your garage and your backyard scale, was playing at parties, and that was what was making the popularity. The girls were there, so we wanted to decide, how we were going to get the girls as it goes. So being in a band or something was a fun thing to do, and just like I had mentioned, differentiating myself a little bit by playing the banjo when everybody else had guitars. So I bought a banjo and tried to learn how to play it, and with some help from one of the radio stations, WBZ in Boston, which
WBZ in Boston.
WBZ in Boston had a show called Sing Out back then, and it was folk music, and that was where your exposures were coming from, right as these other groups were just, as they were coming along. So you were getting all this other music, folk music, and you're still getting your groups coming on by buying records and watching on television.
Doug, I would be remiss in not mentioning this. My father worked for WBZ for many years. He worked in the transmitters, and eventually came down the station where they actually did the news. I know it's a small world, but my father got his training in the Air Force. He was trained as an engineer in the Air Force, signal modulation, that kind of thing. So thank you for bringing that memory. I guess I didn't see that one coming. And I didn't mean to cut you off. So please continue, sir.
Well, the WBZ show was called Sing Out, and there was a little periodical magazine that came out for hobbyists, and the hobbyists were sucking up the magazine because it had all the words and the keys and everything else, the chords that was in the songs that were being popularized. So we lapped that stuff up. But you had to have a shortwave radio to get WBC at that time, on Sunday night. So that was fun. It was all part of how you grab together your information to do what you wanted to do. That was research back then, I guess. Nowadays, you could do it on a computer.
If we could, I know we talked a little bit before the show, and you have done a lot of things in your life, a lot of them dealing with water and boating. Can you give us a little taste of that?
Well, my father had started a fiberglass business in 1963, and my brother and I worked at it and picked up the trade of fiberglass work. There was a lot of boat builders in the Maryland and East Coast area at the time, and I went to work for several of them. One of them was Owens Yacht Company, and we made 49-foot custom cruisers. We made one for the sausage maker Jimmy Dean. It was called Big Bay of John IV, and it was the biggest boat I'd ever built. And we were building in Annapolis, sailboat builders in Annapolis, probably in the mid 60s, building sailboats every day. And that lasted as long as we could sell them. And then the company folded. But that kind of thing I was doing. I was working with fiberglass boat builders mostly. And as that particular building method came along, things were changing and getting better and safer and less hazardous. So it was something I could stay in, and I enjoyed it for a while. So And it happened in Annapolis too. There was a couple of them in Annapolis that were good places to work. One of the things about Annapolis, if you live there for any period of time, man, if you want to go to lunch, you got 100 choices. You know, any place you want to go, there's something to do. And one of our favorites was to go to City Dock for lunch and find Mrs. Gray. Now, who was Mrs. Gray? Mrs. Gray made a crab cake and sold it for 25 cents a piece. She caught the crabs herself with chicken necks and string and a net and took them home and made crab cakes and brought them back. 25 cents. You could load up with 5 or 6 of these for lunch and you were good to go. So that was one of my favorite memories about Annapolis. Other things around Eastport. Eastport was kind of quirky and still is. There was a bar called Marmaduke's, and you'd always find some storyteller in there, and you know that could fascinate you for hours. That was a bad place to stay at. You didn't want to get hooked up in there too long. A couple other drop-offs in Annapolis that we enjoyed too.
So I'm hoping maybe you give us a little treat to some of those musical skills you tackled so many years ago. Perhaps you might treat us with a selection.
This one here is Flop-Eared Noel.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Well, Doug, we probably should be wrapping things up. Do you have any closing thoughts? Anything else you'd like to add, say about Anne Arundel County, about anything?
Well, Anne Arundel County is really doing well by itself, making the access to the water more accessible by many groups that are kayaking groups and environmental groups are really pulling out the stops to get everybody that has private property stuff to help out with access to water for kayak people, fishing people, hiking people. There's a lot going on with that, and I really want to salute those people that do that. There's one fellow who writes an article every Sunday about hikes that you can take along the water and throughout the county. That's Jeff Holland, I believe it is. And he's worth, millions of bucks in goodwill. So there's plenty of things going on in Anne Arundel County, bike trails and all that, and we're quite proud of it. Whenever I get out of the county, I brag about it every chance I get.
Well, thank you, sir. It's been a pleasure. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the interview now. So thank you so much. Let me go ahead and
thank you, John.
Find how to do that. And on June 11th, I was running errands when I passed the annual Strawberry Festival hosted by the Anne Arundel Historical Society located on Aviation Boulevard. I said to myself, I'm definitely going to check this out upon my return from the base. Well, I did return, only to watch the balance of the vendors shutting down. Yes, I saw a few younger people milling around, but yes, I missed the event. My bad. But I won't next time. Consumerism. The way commerce occurs is a fascinating combination of transactions with a mix of joy and emotion. It happens everywhere to include our county. It comes together in a special way at Christmas time. I visited our local mall to watch some of these transactions as an observer. Stores offer merchandise and services. This merchandise and or services represents many things to many people. For many years, a focal point of our consumerism was the great Sears. Powerful like the Wizard of Oz, it made many dreams come true. Now you see an empty store, its shoppers have moved on. Consumerism has many faces. This artwork created by students from the local high school adds a face to the interior of this less populated part of the mall. On display is innovation, which makes consumerism fun and convenient. This escalator represents this aspect. Beautiful dresses, established architecture. Who could ask for more? Yes, much of the good life is just that, the good life. Much is gained from these opportunities. Now, it is argued that much of the world is caught up, and now they have their own opportunities. I applaud progress no matter where it occurs. The good life is truly good. But here in America, here in Anne Arundel County, it's truly something special. Usually on weekends, during those trips to the grocery store, we encounter an important but underappreciated part of our society. We see gifted musicians. They play in our parking lots. Yes, they play for money. They play for their survival. Yet it is the product that they produce that can soothe us, that can bring us joy, even for only those few moments that it takes us to get from our car inside the store. We need you. Anne Arundel County needs you. Again, Anne Arundel County, thank you for inviting me into your home for another episode of Don't Get Fooled Again. The name of our production company is the Glen Burnie Players. I'm Anthony Bynum, your host. Thank you. Until next time, take care.